you guys have probably been to Home Depot once or twice. You know what really big bulb lights are, RBLs. Some of you go and clean Home Depot out. I'm not calling out any names.
I'm guilty, I do it. I'm just going to say it now.
Only one Home Depot?
I didn't say you didn't go to multiple ones, did I?
Within driving distance.
I said clean out Home Depot.
Yeah,
okay, that is like an aggregate there.
No, I've been known to hit 3 or 4.
Hey, I think we've all done that kind of stuff.
That's why there's only shopping.
Right, exactly. But if you want to convert those really big lights over to pixels to put them in your show, Tom Hammond's your guy. He's going to show us how to do that, plus a whole lot more. So Tom, the floor is yours.
Okay. I think I've got you topped. I went to probably 12 different stores to look for these bulbs. And Home Depot has a pathetic stock inventory status on it. So the way they stock things is you go to their website and you try to find out what they have in stock, and they say, well, we've got 50 of these jumbo bulbs installed. So I drive 20 minutes, sometimes a lot further. And the way they do their stock is, once it leaves their warehouse, they say the shelves have them in the store they took them to. So it does. So I went to, I think 6 out of 12 stores didn't have. After I ordered it, and I said, I locked it into an order, and I went to pick them up. They were not there.
Did you find any last fall? Because I did.
Oh yeah, I found.
Oh, it must have been all shipped to Northern Ohio then.
Yeah, they were all.
Were they all?
Yes, I got them all. They're all mine.
They were shipped to his house.
Yeah.
And actually, this talk is actually a ripoff of another talk that was done by, who's Uki Warrior? Remember him?
Oh yeah, Dave
Jones.
Dave Jones.
Yes. So he talked about these bulbs about 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm sort of building off of that talk a little bit, and so we'll just go from there. So I'm Tom Hammond, and I've been doing, it feels like an AA meeting here, I've been doing pixels for 9 years now.
Hi, Tom.
So,
welcome.
Let's see if I can go back here for a second. I have my talk in here. So yeah, I started out 9 years ago with an Arduino running GE color effects. Remember those?
Oh yeah.
Okay, still have them. Most of them are pink now, but they still work. I was doing animations before I didn't know about X-Lights. I mean, and a guy was actually helping me animate them with custom code running on an Arduino that you script with Notepad. And give me a half time marker so I can move on to the next topic, please. So started that way, and the person who did that scripting language with the Arduino stuff happened to be Keith Wesley. So we were friends 9 years ago, and he had a custom animation system before he got into X-Lights. Wow. So that progressed into my current show, and so I've got just all sorts of stuff. So I've just got your regular things, projectors, floodlights, pixels, that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, the reason why I'm talking about these big lights is I do like pixels. I mean, you can do a lot with them, but pixels are little points of light, and they look kind of too modern techie, and I'm trying to get back to some more traditional looking kind of lights. So I was trying to find some options to see what I could do, and this was a good way to start down that path and everything. So I'm going to talk everything you want to know about these things until you get sick of them. Does anybody have any of these right now on their show? So yeah, some people do. Okay, so I know you guys get quite a bit. So you probably know some of this stuff already. So one thing I would like to do, first off, we're just going to talk about what they are. There's 2 different kinds, if you didn't know. How you retrofit them and how you get them to work into X-Lights. But one thing you may want to do is take a picture of this. All of these sessions for today, they're going to be recorded onto YouTube and with the PowerPoints. So any of the links that any of us show for any of the talks, all the slides, the PowerPoints, is going to be on that link. And it might take me a week to get all the videos uploaded and shared and everything, so that might help me with not having to jot down so much information. So just give me a second to grab that if you like. It doesn't take you to a very unusual place, I promise. I thought about it.
Yeah, well, why not? Oh,
Okay, everyone got it? Great. All right. So, and again, this is a quick thing about me. This website here is where I host my remote Falcon kind of stuff. But actually, I did a homebrew version of Remote Falcon before it got made. So I have my own little system there. But basically, I started this remote control stuff about maybe 5-6 years ago, and I did the camera thing, on Twitch and all that kind of stuff. And it was a real novelty back then. So when I first did it, somebody wrote something on a local newspaper that I did this internet control, internet viewable Christmas light stuff. And from there, it went to hundreds of websites. It went to a dozen newspapers. I got 3 interviews. I got a CNN interview, a Good Morning America interview, and the other one I can't remember. And it's just because no one's ever heard of this before. So it's like, I had who was it? It was Good Morning America. They came to my house in one day and recorded like a 2-minute clip. They brought the production guy, the interviewer guy, and they uploaded it to the satellite at like 5 o'clock in the evening, and I was on live TV all over my area like that same night, which is pretty cool. So this remote control stuff's pretty cool. I get about 300 controls a night, for this kind of stuff the first year. So that's my thing. So if you ever want to see my lights, the itwinkle.org is where I'm at. Okay, so what are these things? Okay, these jumbo bulbs are, again, I just like the classic look of these kind of things, and and when you buy these at Home Depot, they come in different colors, and the shells are different colors. So you want to make sure you steal all the whites and leave all the other colors behind. Okay, so that's the idea, because they're very translucent and they hold the color really well. And you can't really tell because there's daylight in here, but you don't need very many pixels to make them show a nice color. I think I got some good color with just 2 pixels. I was testing them at night, in a dark yard and everything. So these have 7 pixels in them. Some people will go like 11 or more, but you don't really have to have that many. So I'm plenty happy with the pixels that are in them. They're about the size of a football. Home Depot has them. They've had this particular model for about 3 years now. Okay, this real angular kind of shape. So they're still available. They're still easy to get. This kind here is the old kind that wasn't. I don't think this was sold by Home Depot. Did you know, Jim?
I don't know where they came from.
Did you buy these? Where'd you guys buy these?
I got them from Clyde.
You got them from Clyde. Clyde, where'd you get them?
I ordered the RBLs in 2016, and they sat in the basement for 2 years, and I just didn't have time to mess with them. So
They were online.
Online. So you bought
Yeah, I
them.
got them online. Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
I did.
I was saying about the same time
It's
I
been
bought
that
mine.
long, so sorry, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's okay. So I don't think you can get these anymore.
I think my original ones have a little bit bigger base
Well,
than those.
there might be a third kind that I don't know
Yeah,
about.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know as a matter of fact they were.
Yeah,
And they were like the original when they first came out, and I can't remember where I got them either, but
That's
bought-
possible.
I
That's
think I bought
possible.
8 or 12 of them.
Didn't they have a consortium buy too?
Yeah, well, I think there was at one point there was the initial offering because it was a startup. I think it was
Like
on the
RBL
startup.
or something.
And
yeah,
and
really
so
big
that
lights.
was probably the original. And then they went a lot more mainstream. And the ones that you have, if you got them from Jim, I gave them to him. They're for 2016.
Okay.
So-
good, okay. This particular kind, the original kind, the RBLs, they have a very shallow socket, and they have ribs on them around this. Okay, so they're not the same setup. So if you have both kinds, you have to do 2 sort of retrofittings to make these work. Okay, so these are identified because they have a little hole on the top of the drain hole. So these are meant to be hung. There's a hook on them. But you can do it that way, like Jim does, and other people do. So the drain hole drains the water out. But like in my case, and some other people, like I'm going to put them in my yard. So I was thinking, I like pea stakes. I think that's a cool idea. But I'm trying to get out of the dotty look. I don't want dots everywhere. So I'm going to take these, and you can come up and see these or see them on the back table. But those EMT connectors, those they're like a smooth sleeve on this side, and there's a nut and a screw on the other side. So basically, I'll explain how I did it, but I just attach it to this, and I'll just put them on EMT posts in the ground. This has a set screw, so they don't move very far. So there's 2 different kinds. This kind you probably can't get anymore, and this is the current kind of Home Depot, okay, the more angular kind of look. So, and again, you can probably get these pretty easily. They do go on sale after Christmas, but practically, you'll probably be able to get them this coming year because I'm going to take them all. So I'm up to 7.
Yeah, don't aim for Columbus either, guys.
Yeah, don't go to Facebook. As soon as someone says they found them, then that's where I go. Okay, so again.
So that's how we threw you off the trail, got it.
Exactly, yeah. So again, I'm using these like all over the yard. I'm going to make it like a 70 bulb matrix, just to cover the yard kind of thing. It's a lot of cable. I don't know if it's going to work well with all that cabling and the data and the power.
But Tom, you just said you weren't going to do anything this year.
Well, yeah, I think I've got pressure now.
Right?
Yeah, well,
And there's video proof.
yeah, you try to do like 700 feet of cable and all this kind of stuff, but I'm going to try.
Well, if you would put a mini in there running WLED, you could just get power to them. You wouldn't have to run the cable.
You are doing a segue for my next talk. I appreciate that. But I'm going to interrupt you. What do you use yours for? How do you make yours?
I actually have about 14 of them that are hanging in a large deciduous tree in the front of my display.
Okay, so you're hanging them by their hooks.
And I have run them with EXP Pixel. I've since moved on to adding them to a FPP on a Pi Zero.
Okay. Yep.
Because I'm running everything wireless.
Okay, yeah.
And I've got another 20-ish or so to modify, and I'll steal the show after you're done.
No, you're fine. You hang them from a tree, basically.
I hang them
which
from a
is
tree,
nice.
and then I add some that I did kind of like that. I sent straight up. I just basically put a tent stake in the ground and put a zip tie on it
Yep.
to hold them up. And I put them kind of along a perimeter on the back of the display to add some color one year.
Okay, so
And
yeah.
then I
pretty
used on the
nice
same
stuff.
controller. Well, they were right on the ground.
And some people are doing candy cane posts, right?
Yeah.
That's what, Jim, is
That's
that what
kinda
you're
I was
doing?
doing.
Like,
Yeah.
and who else is using these in a different kind of way?
I've got mine set up and out, but I use more than 7 pixels now.
Oh, you do?
There's 36.
I'm not surprised.
See, I don't use,
Yes.
Huh?
I
So I-
actually 3D printed a stake and it
Oh,
runs
what?
on 4 sides. I've 3D printed a stake for mine. So it actually goes inside the LUO.
Yes, yes.
And then there are 1-inch spacings for each of the pixels. So I can actually make a design and make it look like it's going around in motion
Oh, yeah.
or going up and down.
Yep, we're going to talk about that too. Yeah, there's different ways you can light these to get different effects. Yep.
well, I'm using originally I had a terrible time getting them on Amazon, but they were RGBs that were originally used on amusement rides. So they were 3 large pixels in a single housing. So I eventually got them, and then I wired those all into them. And now I just bought 15 more from Gilbert. Gilbert has similar product in stock now, and they've got X connects on the end.
Oh,
So really all I
okay.
have to do is drill a hole, pop it in, a little bit of zip tie action, and
Yep.
I'm done.
Yep, yeah, that's a good method.
No soldering, no changing, no water intrusion.
Yeah, and puck lights are good for that too.
Yep.
So, yep. Okay, so just some ideas. And Jim hangs his from the eaves of his house, just like that previous picture, which is kind of cool, which looks really nice. So we talked about the 2 kinds. The original kind had a incandescent bulb in the center. Okay, so you had this this little post inside your bulb that you snapped on your light bulb onto. Okay, and then the ridge on the socket. The drain hole. I just wanted to let you know. So like I'm using mine like this. Basically like this. So I thought there was going to be an issue with water coming in, and there will be, because the water will come down and actually enter the socket, because it's not a perfect fit. But my hope is that if I make sure there's a drain hole at the bottom, it'll just keep the water from staying at the bottom. I'm trying to
It
say.
should come out the switch hole there, shouldn't it?
Right. Yeah. So there will be water coming in, so I don't think that's going to be too big of an issue. But that's what that one looks like. The old bulbs had the hole at the top, and I just covered that with a hot glue, just to make sure water doesn't get inside the bulb that way. I don't think it matters, actually. The new style has 2 LEDs, and they have a battery cover. So basically, you just, I'll show you how we modify that cover to put pixels in there instead. And if you're trying to find these, this is what Home Depot calls them. Home Accents Holiday Jumbo LED bulb. They're normally $8, and if you get them off season, they're $4, if there's still any around, that kind of thing. So they're not expensive. Because the first time I saw this kind of idea was at Stan Hewitt Hall in Akron. They have an awesome Christmas display. And in their yard, they had these globes that were this big, and they just scattered them all over the yard. And they had it right next to a big pixel tree, and they just changed they were just one color. They didn't change to like multi-effects within the bulb. But I thought, this is really classy. And until I found out the prices for these globes online. They can be like $100, you know, for a globe for these. You know, there's clever ways to find retro and other kind of globes. You know, but I was looking for something like similar to that effect without, you know, spending a ton of money, especially since I wanted to buy so many. So, but yeah, that's why I went into this. I just thought it looked really cool. So to do retrofitting, probably a number of you have 3D printers, and some of you don't yet. You hang out one?
You can also, if you have a 3D printer, you can print out, they have the incandescent minis now, where you can print out, put light, put
Right.
pixels inside of them.
Yeah, some
So you
people,
can kind of mix them in with these.
some people will make their bulbs on a 3D printer instead of buying them at Home Depot. The problem is with 3D printers, they're incredibly slow. So if you make one of these bulbs on a traditional 3D printer, this has got to be a
12 to 14 hour
12 to
print.
14 hour
Yeah.
print per bulb. you
It's
know.
May.
Huh?
It's May.
It's
You got
May.
time.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
No, and there are people that have done probably 30 or 40 of them, put them in their show last year. They started early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's also that, it's not going to be as strong as a commercially made injection molded bulb. It's also, you got to take the cost, the filament it takes to make all those. You've blown away that $8 and wasted all that time just buying them, you know, that kind of thing. So, I mean, there's nice things about that. So 3D printer, you don't need a 3D printer to retro these. I mean, it would help depending on what kind of retro you're doing, but 3D printers are extremely handy for a lot of things. So if you haven't got a 3D printer at home, like Jim, and I'm trying to talk you into getting one because if you think they're too advanced and too technical to use, they kind of are. But there's a lot of designs on the internet where you literally just download a shape and you hit print and you get a copy of it. You don't have to be a genius to use these. So 3D printing made this retro project pretty fast. And especially, in my case, I used a laser cutter to do a lot of the retroing, okay? So basically, this, remember that on the old style bulb, the bulb holder? I needed a way to do, I actually cut the, here's the, so I cut the post out, right? And then I 3D printed a little hockey puck with my pixels on top of it, and I just zip tied it onto the remaining base. So if you're only doing like 6 of these, you don't have to go through all this extreme, right? But if you're doing 70, big time saver, you know, that kind of stuff. So like this is the old style socket. It's really hard to get this in here because the hook part of this, if I can take it off, this normally is where the hook goes on this, where you can hang it. So I had to I lasered a hole to make this without breaking this bracket because it has like little things around it. So again, you could do this with a drill, you know, or a Dremel tool or whatever, but a laser makes it so much faster. So these are cool tools to have. And if you don't have these kind of tools, chances are if you live near a larger style library, okay, they have maker spaces where you can use these kind of tools and you can use them for free. So if you want to get used to this kind of stuff and get your feet wet without having to buy anything, try to find a local makerspace. You know, they're great for that. So, okay, so these are the kind of pixels you can retro these with. Okay, so we talked about, you know, the pixels. You can just stick regular pixels in here. This is for the old style. If you want to just pass it around, you can. And there's different ways for doing the new style. And then a lot of people are going with these pucks. Some of you use pucks for different things? Like
Only for those.
Huh? For
Only
those?
for those, yeah.
What do you use your pucks for?
I pick a bunch of landscape lights and just put a puck in each light.
Yeah.
So I think I run a sequence back and forth across the front house.
Okay.
In the summer, they're just all that white.
Got it. Okay. And some people will use pucks for the eaves of their house. They'll make permanent lighting for their house with pucks. They can do it that way too. Yeah, they're handy. So if you do the puck lights, the ends of those puck lights are JST connectors. So when you plug those in inside the bulb, those are not water resistant. So you can either cut those off and solder on something permanent, or you can use like dielectric grease, I think. Some people will take that within the JST connector, and that way it becomes, you know, waterproof. So I'll show you a little bit more. Now some people use modules, and these things here are, there are 3 or so LEDs per mounting bracket, but they all change to one color. They're not individually addressable. So basically, you know, they all turn to one color, but you can have multiple modules inside your bulb. Okay, so we can do that too. So for the least amount of work, it's probably these two, because you don't have to do individual LEDs. And the bullets, you have to, do some cutting and splicing and stuff. It's a bit of work to do it that way. But, if that's what you got laid around, then, that's
Yeah,
what you
but
use.
Tom, what you can do is, in X lights, if you use the multiple pixels like that, you can say that the model has five pixels in it, and they're all the same. You don't have to cut it and splice the data line.
Okay, got it.
My first thought was, when I started looking at that, was, oh yeah, I'm going to cut that. If I just give them all the same data line, it'll all be okay. But then you realize that you can do it by setting the model up that way.
Within the puck, or for the pucks, right?
Within X light.
Right,
You say,
right.
bulb 5, okay, it's got 5 pixels, and it's a setting in the model itself.
Got it. And we'll talk about that just a little bit
Yeah.
too. So, yep. If I go too quick, just tough. Okay. Okay, so these are the different ways you can modify this. They're not all 3D printed solutions. There's a couple here that if you like using power tools, you can go that route. So these are not all high tech. And I do have the links. If you took a stack of that QR code, and again, that'll all be on the website, so you can find these links again if you need to look for these shapes. So this is the new style bulb, the Home Depot one. They just simply print a replacement tray that comes out. This is the battery holder tray that goes inside the bulb. So you just print a replacement of this, basically, and then you stick your pixels in from underneath. Now, one thing, there's a couple different ways people do it, and I'll pass this around. But this is the battery holder, and there's a battery cover that goes on top. People will just drill holes in the bottom of the AA battery holders, stick the pixels up through those holes. I don't care for that so much because the pixels are recessed too far into the tray, so I'm afraid the light won't come out too well. But that's one way to do it, and I'll show you a picture of it. Some people will take the battery cover off and drill holes in that, and then through the bottoms of the battery compartment. So the pixels go through both holes. They go through the bottom of the battery compartment, and then they pop up through the battery cover, and they're a little bit higher. So that's another way you can do it. And again, the laser helped a lot with that. So those are two ways. This is the old style bulb. And I'm going to show the way Jim did it because he sent me a picture of it to his old style bulb. Okay. All right. So this is Jim's way. That's your picture. So
Yeah, thanks.
I snuck up at your house at night and took it. Actually, not the daytime. I'm sorry. So this is another 3D printed idea. Basically, what they did is they 3D printed this. It looks like a star kind of thing where you can snap the pixels on from the side, and they strap onto this post. Okay. So that's another way kind of thing. Okay. And again, all the links are there. Now, the one thing I didn't like about this idea is there's benefits to it, but when you bring the pixels up into the diffuser here, you can see what I call pixel burn. So you'll see the points of light sometimes within the bulb because they're so close to the shell. So that kind of gives away the the whole bulb is one color thing. You'll actually see the pixels inside of it. But there's a benefit to that too. So there's pros and cons, and we'll talk about that. So I chose to have the bulbs in the base here so you can't see the pixel burn. I want it to be a nice solid color where you don't see that burn. Okay? But I'm sort of regretting it in some ways. So this is the new style Home Depot bulb, and that's where they took the puck, right? So basically, they 3D printed a replacement, tray. Instead of that white tray, they made their own. And then they just put a puck inside of it. It's got a custom mount for that one puck. Okay, so that's a pretty quick upgrade if you don't mind printing all those trays. So, all right. This is one that doesn't require 3D printing, which is kind of neat. So this one basically, this is for the old style bulb. And basically you take the light bulb holder like this. You snap on a 1/2-inch EMT pipe right to the bulb holder. And then you can take, remember those modules that have 3 LEDs per thing? You just sort of zip tie them on the different sides of the pole, and you're done. Quick and easy. You didn't have to. I don't think you had to modify anything. You had nothing to cut or nothing. So it was a pretty quick upgrade. So that's the YouTube on how he does it down there. So any questions so far? How we're retroing these? There's lots of different ways to do this. So, okay.
There's also a guy that has custom boards that he's made where he puts basically like a 9-watt cob, like you have the floodlights.
Yeah.
It just goes on that board, and I think he makes those to is
Oh,
also.
really? So
yeah.
it's almost like a floodlight
Yeah,
type of
there's a
LED
9
board.
watt, yeah, in the bulb, yeah.
Okay.
Probably might be kind of bright, but.
Yeah. Okay. So those are for the old style bulbs, all those solutions, which if you have those kind of bulbs, that'll help you. But if you're getting these new, you can't get those kind of bulbs anymore. So this is how you retrofit the new kind, okay, from Home Depot. Okay, so here's the battery compartment approach, right? They just take the battery cover off and take a drill and go to town, right? Just drill a hole and they pop in. The pixels will keep out within that tray, you know, so that kind of thing. Some people will take the battery cover itself and drill holes into that and the bottoms of the battery compartments and just push them through so they get a little bit higher into the bulb so you can get more brightness. So, and again, laser cutters, wonderful for this kind of thing. Now, I'll pass this around, but this is one of the battery compartments, and I had to take a Dremel and cut the bottoms of all these battery compartments out. It's a lot of work, you know. And the bottoms of the sockets have the hook. Remember the hook that they hang from? I had to actually, you can unscrew that, but there's a lot of crap down here you have to sort of Dremel out to get smooth so you can put things in here. So that's all manual work. But, you know, I used a laser to cut all my battery covers. You know, I could just pop in within 30 minutes and have them all cut. So that, but a drill press would work just as well. Okay, so you can pass that around if you'd like. Okay, lots of ideas to do it, and each one has pros and cons. So here's my battery cover right there, and I chose to use a 3D printed lifter for the middle so I can get a 7th bulb in there, and it raises the bulb just a little bit higher. So that method's a little more complicated than the others, but I just wanted just a little more height, and I wanted that extra pixel in the middle. So these two solutions here, you can download these, and it tells you how to assemble them. So there's a thing here for that. Okay, wow, oh crap, I gotta move. You don't give me enough time to talk. I know. This is the puck method for the Home Depot bulbs. Okay, and this one again doesn't require 3D printing. Basically, you just I'm not sure what this is. But I think that's part of the puck. It actually fits right in underneath the battery covers. So pretty cool. Okay. All right, we're almost done with this part of the talk. So about the colors and the animations, you know, that Dan was talking about. If you put your pixels at the base of the socket like I did, you know, where they're all just flat in the bottom, you can't really mix colors too well. You can't get special effects. I thought you might have been able to see some swirls of the pixels and things, but you really don't see it. All the lights, by the time they get into the diffuser, they're all one color. So that's kind of like, you know, if I really went with the post method, that might have been cooler. Because if you use one of the methods where the pixels are up inside the bulb, you can do things like this, where they're multicolored, and whatever effects you apply can swirl within the bulb. And that's what Jim's does, because I saw his at his house. But the only thing you get is that pixel burn. You'll see the dots of light in there, but that might be kind of a cool effect too. So sure decide if you want to go with just a solid color that can go dim, or you know, you can change it to different colors, but it's all one color. And that's the route I'm going to go with. So, but just think about your method you're going to diffuse it with.
Tom, when you're printing that 7 pixel, could you not print up dividers in each one too? Have them go up another inch or so?
Yeah, they'd have to go pretty high up into the bulb. So if I was doing like,
I think you're going to get some color mix, but it would probably define your colors better.
if you get it further up in here, you mean?
No, I think even down there, if a reflector or a divider comes up, it would present,
Oh,
I mean, you
you're
get some
saying-
blend at the end,
you're
but
saying
along
like
the bottom it'd be.
It would kind of funnel it.
Yeah,
away.
like a little shield, so the
You
lights
can
can only
line
push
them
out a
with
certain
some-
way.
Yes, with
Yeah.
aluminum metal duct tape or something like that, so you get good reflection in there.
Yeah, that would work.
And then you could get some more definition, although, I mean, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like it just the fact I'm gonna have a whole bunch of these in the yard, all sort of working together, like a color wash for the yard. So, okay, and I'm not gonna cover too much of this since I'm running out of time. We just talked about, the one way I set this up in my X-Lights is, here's my yard. And so basically I just got it covering the yard like that.
It's like a bulb forest.
Yeah, I know. And they're about maybe 10 feet apart, something like that. And because every one is 7 pixels, the way I'm going to do it is I made a custom model in X-Lights, and I just basically I made a matrix, right? But my matrix is a little bit weird, because I've got it cut out right here where my props are. So I just, next lights, you can just make it look, it's like a matrix, like a very tiny matrix, and then I stretched it to fit my whole yard. So basically, the back of the model will look like this. And I have no idea if this is going to work or not, because this is one big long data run. So I might have to.
You're gonna have issues with voltage drop more than anything else.
What's that?
You're gonna have issues with voltage drop.
Well, I'm doing power injections.
Or the other alternative would be push 24 volts down there and use a DC-DC buck converter
Yeah.
in each of them.
Or
And that's
if-
what I did with mine.
If you don't want to power inject, just use a second output or another output on another controller. They
Exactly.
don't have to share the same controller.
No.
Yeah, so either I'll make it one long data run, or I'll break it up into 2 or 3 data runs. And I remember your talk on buck converters at LUO a while ago.
So I want to know where you're buying the copper wire, because I want to buy stock in them before you.
This is the first year I'm buying extensions that I haven't homemade. So this is an upgrade for me. So I actually bought real extensions in between the pixels. So yeah, I'm moving places. So, but basically all I did in my X-Lights is I was telling X-Lights that every bulb is 1 pixel, even though there's 7 in them. And then in my Falcon controller, my FPP software, I simply say that every 7 pixels is treated as 1 pixel. So X-Lights thinks it's 1 pixel, but the controller converts it to 7. So that's just another way you can do it if you're doing the multiple effects in the bulb. Is it? Hey, Clyde, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can make a custom model of those pixels, right? Hey, Clyde, pay attention. So tell me if I'm right. If I wanted to make this, I would make a custom model with 7 pixels about this shape, and then I can, in X-Lights, I can group that, and then I can, as a group,
There's
I
a
can
number
actually-
of ways you can do that,
I can
yes.
actually lay them out on my model like this. Like I take each group and I just sort of paste it in these places. And
Correct.
I can group that and then
Correct.
stretch it to fit my yard.
Probably the most simple way, if you're not looking to do crazy stuff with inside the bulb, the simple way to do it would be to, however many number of bulbs you have, apply the group setting to the controller, and the controller would keep that as, the controller would keep that.
Right. If you group the pixels.
I was just admiring your handiwork.
Fascinating. So there's 2 ways you can model it. There's 1 pixel that's grouped within your controller, or you can make a custom model of 7 pixels and then stamp that across your yard. Okay, that kind of thing. So I haven't done that part yet, but it won't have to happen with me because I'm really stuck with 1 color. So any questions about that talk before I switch gears? Yeah.
That group count, you can do that from X-Lights, So if you upload your controller output, it won't, wipe it out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Once you assign it,
Okay.
once you assign the model to the controller, then
Yep.
it will be in your settings, and so you can do set group count there. So when you upload, it will actually keep it.
Provided that your controller can
Right.
accept the group settings, but yes,
Excellent.
absolutely.
Okay, that'll help. Thank you. That's cool.
That was the one you missed quite.
Okay.
So it's-
Yeah, I know. I've got to remember to say everything all in one breath.
You're looking at your prop, Tom, so it's really good stuff.
Yeah, it was an irony.
You'll never see it again.
Okay, so I totally switched gears on you here, okay? So that was that, and this is something like little inexpensive controllers. Has anyone heard of a Dig Uno or a Wasatch pixel controller? Does anyone use them? Yeah, got a few people using them, okay? Why do you bother with them? Why don't you just use Culp or Falcon? Why do you even try these? What are your benefits?
I have one that I use off-season because it's a 24-volt system. And I knew that it was rated 24 volts, but I have not seen great reliability out of it, so I'm looking for you to enlighten me.
Oh, okay, I haven't had reliability issues yet. Okay, we'll talk about that. Off the meeting. I don't want to embarrass myself here. Okay, yeah, I'm sure. So that panel there is running off of Dig Uno, and if you want to mess with this while I'm talking, if you open your phone, go to your Wi-Fi list, there's a Wi-Fi access point called Barry Romick. I borrowed this from him. You can connect to that access point. It should take you to a website that lets you control this. I think if it doesn't take you to a website, go to 4.3.2.1 on your browser, and you can instantly control this. Okay, there's no FPP, and I'll tell you how it works. But if you want to mess with it, don't break it. Just you can pick the colors of palettes and effects, I think. So what are these things? Does anyone remember the days of Pixel Pops? Okay, the same guy that talked about these, I stole another one of his talks, and I'm talking about Pixel Pops, okay? So Pixel Pops were little, thank you, were Wi-Fi controllers, a little tiny thing you can put into a PVC pipe, and you can run, you know, a string of pixels off of it through a Wi-Fi connection. So this is the big brother of that. So the Pixel Pop was based off what's called an ESP8266, which is like kind of like an Arduino, like a low-cost Arduino. The Big Uno is based off ESP32, which is the next generation of ESP. So it's a much faster, beefier system that has more memory, that kind of thing, but it's still super cheap. So these things are great for putting in stuff in your show like really fast. Like you want to in their Wi-Fi or Ethernet, you can have both. And you can, you know, stick something out in the yard really fast, you know, in the middle of the season, you know, without having to mess with a whole lot of work. So and the one thing that I like about these, I mean, this isn't a replacement for Culp or Bigglebone or Falcon. This is like a kind of supplement. But like on a Culp controller, those run on Bigglebone Black typically, right? And those run Falcon Player. And Falcon Player is based off of Raspberry Pi stuff. So basically you have an operating system. Every time you turn on your Culp, it's got to boot. It's got to load a whole bunch of crap off the memory card. You know, 10, 20,000 files are on that thing to run the operating system. It's been whittled down, you know, to run efficiently. But you've got a whole operating system in there, and they're generally pretty reliable. These things are basically like, it's called a microcontroller. You turn them on, within 3 seconds, they're up and running. You know, they just work. And there's no corruption issues. You just turn them on if need. So they're pretty reliable in that respect. You know, so that's one nice thing about them. But these are a nice complement to your existing show. If you need to put up something really quick or you need something Wi-Fi really quick. Okay, we have that already. Okay. So basically they're really cheap. Okay, these things, I should have brought one with me so you can see one. Let me grab one. You can get these things for $35, 35 to 55 bucks per pop. That was no pun on words, by the way. Can you do that now? Pass it down. Thank you. Okay. You can get them anywhere from just 2 strings per thing. You know, like, and they can run about 500, 800 pixels per string per port. They have 8-port versions of these, so 500 to 800 pixels per port on that. So that little ESP32 chip is a pretty fast processor. It can drive quite a few pixels. You can buy them with Wi-Fi only, and you can either use the internal antenna, which doesn't really work well if you're using a yard, but they also have one of those tiny little Wi-Fi snap-on sockets. You can put a whip antenna on it, and you get better range, so you can do that too. And the nice thing about, we'll talk about in a minute here, it runs a piece of software called WLED, which is animation software that doesn't require X-Light. So if you need something between seasons, and you don't want to make a sequence for, you know, different parts, like you want to run something along your house trim that runs all year long, you know, you can actually run WLED and not mess with X-Lights, not have to have all that running all the time. It's pretty handy for that. So that's pretty cool. The speed is pretty good. If you're working through Wi-Fi only, they recommend only 20 frames per second. If you use the Ethernet port on these, if you order with an Ethernet port, you can get up to 40 frames. So, you know, nice and quick. So, say move. I hate to go so quick, but that's okay. ESP is, we just talked about 32-bit, 1 to 2 processors inside of it, the cores, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in with Ethernet options. So that's the little chip. These things are great for projects. So if you ever go to a website called Instructables.com, and you type in ESP32, you can build a lot of cool things with these if you like building stuff. Just like an Arduino. So the Big Uno is 2 ports, 2 strings, right? You can snap on your own antenna if you want to. You can buy it with an Ethernet option, and it'll support input voltages from 5 to 24 volts, but it won't power probably more than 100 or 200 pixels by itself. So you still need to power inject this. Okay, so if you're just doing a batch of 100 pixels or maybe 200, it is fused, you know, so you can run up to the power of that fuse. But for the most part, if you're doing bigger things, you got to provide your own additional power.
Tom, the new cap for the big actually can get up to, I think it's 4 ports on it now.
Yes.
Three more.
3 more on top of the 1.
Plus adds
That's
3
4
ports.
altogether, right?
You get 5 on a Uno, 7 on a quad.
Oh.
You can do 8 on a quad.
You Yeah, a quad technically has 5 outputs.
Okay,
Technically, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's developing a bigger infrastructure for it too. that you-
Well, that's the-
Well, the Octa is the
Yeah.
new bigger one.
and this guy right here, like, this is 8 ports, and what they did this is they broke it up into the data aspect and the power aspect, so you can actually mix and match your data and power needs. So you can have the brain, they call this the brain board, which is an 8-port thing, but then you can buy a power board that can take, a 50 amp connection, or it does 50 amps of power, or 100 amps of power, so you can buy the size of power thing you need, okay? So, so there's different options here, okay?
So how does it, so like the standalone option, is there a, what's it written to? So like if you.
I'll show you.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, we'll get to that. We talked about the Wi-Fi and Ethernet. Ethernet will let you run faster frames. And Wi-Fi is handy if you need something like really quick, like you have to put something out in the yard mid-season, or you don't want to have to mess with the cables as much, right? But the problem with Wi-Fi is you might have interference, and you talked about that in one of your shows. If you're in a busy neighborhood and there's a lot of Wi-Fi stuff in the area, this thing may drop out or hesitate from time to time because it's trying to fight all these other Wi-Fi signals. So Wi-Fi is not good for your entire show if you have a big show, but it's good if you need something in a pinch. Okay, but Ethernet will give you can't get an Ethernet option for it. Okay. Okay, there's another product that some of you have called Wasatch Pixels. That's a company. They make something like this. It's also based on the ESP32. So same basic idea. Okay, but there it is. I don't know what. I think it's an ESP32. I'm pretty sure it is. But it's got Ethernet on all theirs. So. I don't know if they do Wi-Fi. Does anybody know
Well,
that?
I mean, that looks a lot like the ESP Pixel Stick too.
But does that do
Other than-
Wi-Fi? Do you know?
Other than
I think it
the
does.
ESP Pixel Stick does not do wired. But when you put the ESP on that, it should have, that looks like it's just the baseboard.
Right. Yeah.
So when you put the ESP32 on it, it's going to have the Wi-Fi built in.
Okay. I don't know if it has an external port for a whip antenna. I couldn't find one.
It depends on,
Yeah.
depends on which ESP you put on it.
And when you buy one of these Wasatch versions of the same idea, these are locked into certain voltages. So you buy a 5-volt version for 5-volt pixels. You buy one that's 12 or 24 volt for those kind of pixels. On the Dig Unos, they're flexible. They can work with 5 to 24 depending on what you're trying to do, right? These you have to sort of buy them for those one voltage and stick with that voltage. So that's kind of like a bummer. But the nice thing about their 8-port version is it does power delivery. So you can actually power your pixels off of that thing. You don't need to separately get power to it. So the smaller versions of those, they're data only.
Well, another guy that has those is ESP Art Pixel.
Okay.
Cam,
It's Darren Headland.
Darren Headland, yeah.
Okay.
And I've got several of those too.
What's it called again?
ESP Art Pixel.
Art Pixel.
Art stick. He calls them the art stick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. All right, so real quick, there's 2 modes this thing runs in. It's X-Lights mode or standalone. We're going to cover that. Okay. X-Lights, it acts as a DMX receiver. So basically it takes Ethernet, it does E131 protocol over Ethernet to get, just like any other light controller, right? Or it does Wi-Fi, it can do either or kind of thing. So this will just integrate into your X-Lights just like any other controller. Yeah, works pretty easily. So that's all. It's real simple. We'll cover that in a sec. But the standalone mode is pretty cool. Has anyone messed with my display yet? What's that?
Yeah, it is.
I wasn't able to get it.
Maybe
some.
Yeah, we probably flooded it.
So the standalone uses a piece of software called WLED, which is basically you can take your phone and you can make it do simple effects, simple colors. But it's really powerful. The built-in software can do a lot of cool things. This is on a matrix. So this type of animation is not meant for custom words on matrix or custom shapes. It's meant for a string of pixels and animating that string of pixels. It's not a single line. That's what it's meant for. So that's why this looks kind of like that. So basically, you can take your phone. It goes to a simple web interface like this. You can just take your finger and instantly change the colors. They give you over 100 different effects, that you can just pick from. Anybody, you can just give your phone to somebody, they can start messing with your stuff. If you're just outside, you want to change your house for, Easter or something, you can hit a color palette, and you've got Easter colors within 5 seconds. So it's really cool. It has a scheduler, so you can actually make a few things throughout the day. It can have sensors, so if you want to do something when dusk comes, it can start a certain sequence when, you can have all these different sensor hookups and make it play different effects. It's really nice. So,
Interacts with audio. You've got the
Does
right-
it?
Yeah, you can put a mic on it.
yeah, and it
I'm
is,
here already.
oh, okay. It is smart home compatible too. It doesn't work with Google Home, which I have a Google Home, but it does work with Alexa, it works with Blink, it
Home
works with,
Assistant.
huh?
Works with Home Assistant.
Yes, Home Assistant. It'll work with MQTT, I think IFTTT. So if you do smart kind of things, you want to talk to your lights, I know FTP does that, but this one does too. Okay, so real quick, if you want to learn how to use one of these, like you buy one and you want to pick up how to learn it, I have an instructable that I wrote that tells you about everything about how to make this thing work. What you do when you receive it in the mail, how you configure the software, how do you set up the hardware, how do you connect your pixels. So I wrote a complete instructable just for you guys. No, not really. I already had it on the website. So look it up. If you just go to instructables.com and type in Big Uno, you'll probably find it.
So on the standalone piece, like, so if you had it set up, you had it programmed the way you want, like, I'm thinking of, like, on like a, say, a standalone thing, it powers up every day on a, when the sun sets, it's on a, it would just start playing whatever you have on there, and it, run on
I have some stuff set up that comes on 20 minutes before sunset and stops 20 minutes after sunrise. And of course, it has to have network access in order to be able to, and this is just what I run during the summer. And then you can also, the really cool thing about it is, with the app, you can take one and program the colors and the schedule and everything on it, and then you can use UDP connections to the other ones to make them do the same thing. So I've got 4 stars on the front porch that rotate red, white, and blue. I only have one programmed, and the other 3 are just UDP connected to the main.
Yeah. And I'm not going to talk about the status, but basically, when you first turn it on, it's an access point. It's another Wi-Fi network. So you can actually go to that Wi-Fi network and start controlling it. You can also integrate it into your own home network. So you can put it in your own SSID. It becomes part of your network. Okay, so that's all that's about. This is what it looks like. I'm not going to do a live demo because we don't have enough time. That's the opening page. This is where you find your strings on it, how many pixels you have, your RGB order, that kind of stuff. And then here's the X lights config. So you can find your start universe right there. That's the biggie. And then the protocol, the E131, is the one you tell X lights, communication method. So you set those 2 things, your universe and your type, and then X lights, it's ready to receive. Yeah.
You can use DDP.
Can you?
Yeah, that's,
Cool.
don't waste your time there.
Awesome. Okay.
It finds it.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into DDP yet. I want to. So
Yeah,
that'll
Yeah,
help
DDP
a
does
lot.
work on it,
You do
yeah.
not want to deal
Good
with
to know.
the universe thing.
Which is
Thank you.
phenomenal because it'll send data faster than ever.
Yeah, but I'm old school. I do everything the other way. So I'm doing it this way, see?
Look, I'm
Yeah.
old school too, but even I admit that DDP is good.
It is.
So-
It is. Yep. So I won't talk about this because this is old school. Okay. Next slide.
Hey,
Hey,
anytime.
look, Clyde was awake too.
So here's the part that Clyde doesn't know. So this is the WLED, right? So you have a color wheel, right? You can pick a solid color. Thank you. You have the 100 basic effects. These links tell you all about those features. So if you go to that QR code, you can learn all about how those works. And palette means you pick an effect and can pick the color scheme that goes on that effect. That's what that basically means. Okay. So you might like a certain effect, but you want red, white, and blue. You pick it on the palette. Okay. So like there's your color wheel. You just tap with your finger and you instantly get that color. Your effects, there's literally hundreds of these. Okay. And you can save those into a playlist. So say one follows the other and trigger that on a certain time. And then your palettes is the overall color scheme for those effects. So far, so good? Okay. But you can also do some other cool things that you find in fountain controllers and cult controllers. So you can set up segments. So along your strip of lights around your house, it might go around a corner of your house, or it might do something else. You can have different effects and different palettes for different lengths of that substrate, right? Within the substrate, you have different things happening. So that's what segments do. So you can do that. The groups is where you can take 7 pixels and do one thing for that group. So if I was going to run that Dig Uno with these lights here, there's 7 pixels inside, right? So I would just say, make a group of 7 pixels, and then they all do the exact same thing for that one effect. They don't try to mix the colors inside. So, and presets is where you can take different animations and different palettes, you know, and play them in like a, you know, it does this first, it does this next, and you can save that as a playlist. So WLED is really, really nice. And that's where they talk, I'm not going to get into the details, but that's where you do the segments. There's a start, stop LEDs for each group, right? The groups is, I want every 5 pixels to do the same color, the same effect, right? And the presets are your playlist kind of thing. Okay. And this is, I thought this was kind of cool. I just stumbled across this. So that Wasatch Pixels that makes a product similar to this, they make this multiplexer, which is like $15. This will let you run multiple controllers on one string of lights. So basically, suppose you're using your Mega Tree for Christmas and you're running it off of a Falcon, right? You can plug in one of these Dig Unos into the same set of pixels, and when the Falcon isn't using it, and you work with your phone, this will start controlling the pixels. You don't have to flip anything off and on. So when Falcon's not using it, you can instantly switch over to running this. So this is great for like off-season, right? You don't have to mess with switching between 2 different modes. It just automatically uses that one set of pixels for 2 different methods. No software configuration necessary. I thought that was pretty cool. You know, it'd be nice to see if Dan Culp could put this into Falcon Player, the WLED software. That'd be a nice thing to, you know.
There's a FPP command, and all those have a lot of the WLED.
Oh, that's right. You did integrate some of those
Yeah,
libraries, didn't you?
and those effects have all been added into the single strand
You're right.
effect
Yeah, thank
in
you.
X-Lights.
I forgot about that. Yep. Okay.
So
I don't need to
it's
use
not a nice interface like WLED, but the effects are there.
Yeah,
No,
they're-
I put that as instant gratification.
Yeah, I like that too. So, I'm not selling these. I'm not promoting the company. It's just I stumbled across it and like them. So if you want to buy one, that's where you go. It's called Quinlet, QUINLED.info, and the link you'll see it within there.
Actually, it's easier to get them from Dr. Z's store.
This will take you there.
He's in the US.
Yeah, you can either get them from China or you get them from Dr. Z's, but that link will take you to both. Yeah. So any questions about these fun little controllers that are dirt cheap and you can just have a lot of fun with them? So cool.
I think the other thing you did mention is the new caps take SD cards now, so you can have them preloaded with everything, so you're not sending a bunch of data over it.
You can preload the Quinlet with SDs? I haven't seen that.
So the same one we were talking about before, the hat, the 80 plus hat that has the 3 extra outputs.
Yep.
There's a version of it that has an SD card.
Is that the Wasatch or the Dig?
No,
The Digs.
The Digs.
So the Digs will take an SD card.
Yeah, so you put an SD card on there, and you can load the ES Pixel Stick firmware, the new V4 one.
Right.
So it's still in beta,
Right.
and it will work as an FPP remote.
Yep.
Oh, so you can turn it into an FPV remote.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
And then it's wireless, but the sequence is stored locally, so you just have it in sync packets. So it's the
Have you
same.
tested before yet?
Yeah.
Have you tested? I started to last fall and
Yep. I've
I
played
didn't
with a
get
lot.
there because I have several of those controllers.
Yeah, no, it works pretty
You
good.
need the SD card
Yeah.
cap or
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
the SD hat.
So-
I had a controller with it at the Michigan Mini, I did not bring it with me here, so.
So the
When
base
I wake up at 5 a.m., I don't remember to grab stuff before I get in the car.
the base unit will store all your presets and stuff within its own memory.
Yep.
But what you're saying is with the memory card, you can actually
You load a CQ file on it.
right, you can actually load your own sequences.
Lots
So-
faster.
So it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to make this like a FSEQ player, you know, like you're trying to compete with, you know, like FPP and the Culp and all that, you can do that kind of stuff. But if you want something that just plays right now, you turn it on, it works every day. There's no software, there's no OS. It just works. That's your day-to-day, non-season stuff. This is kind of a cool option.
Well, but the thing is, like his hat, the hat on the hat with the SD card gives him something that he can put whatever animation on there. When he turns it on, it comes up and does its thing.
Right. Yep.
And the new hats have other, I guess, bonuses to them. There's a touch control, there's an IR control,
Then there's a microphone in it.
microphone.
So
So they
next
can
year,
react to music, that type of thing.
next year you're teaching this.
I mean, I can make it easier to see, then you just go to my YouTube page. I
think I might.
I have a couple of videos.
What's your YouTube page?
Justin Z Design.
Justin Z Design?
Yeah.
Like Z is a middle initial?
Justin Z is my last name initial, but yeah.
Got it, okay, I understand.
Yeah,
Yep.
but yeah, there's a video up there that's the pixel stick for firmware with the SD card that I've done. There's a video on connecting to Xlite with WLD using DDP.
Yeah, thanks. So if you need to contact me for anything about this, again, that QR code will have a recording of all the presentations today and all the PowerPoints. That link will be, basically it's on this website. But that QR code will take you straight to all the trainings today. So thank you.